Hello, boys and girls. It's day 4 of the Great Escape. And we're going to see how God sent one last plague and how Pharaoh let the people go in today's lesson. But it starts out with what we learned yesterday. After the first 9 plagues, after the plague of darkness, Pharaoh told Moses that he never wanted to see him again. And let me read it. This is Exodus 10:28. And Pharaoh said unto him, Get thee from me, take heed to thyself, see my face no more. For in that day thou seest my face, thou shalt die. He's threatening him. If he comes back and sees Pharaoh's face again, he's going to die. And Moses said, Thou hast well spoken. I will see your face again no more. And then God revealed to Moses what the last plague was going to be. And he said, at midnight, he would be coming through the land of Egypt, and he would be going into every house, and in every house, the firstborn would die. From the firstborn of Pharaoh to the firstborn of the maid who milks the cow. But then he said, but the Israelites don't have to have this happen to them. So he instructed the Israelites to take a lamb on the 10th day of the month and keep it till the 14th day of the month. And on the 14th day of the month, they were to kill the lamb and put the blood from the lamb over the tops of the door and down the sides of their doors. And then they were to roast the lamb, and they were to gather their family into their house, and nobody was supposed to go out till the morning. And they were to eat their supper of lamb with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. And they were supposed to have their shoes on their feet, supposed to have their rod in their hand, ready to go, because this was going to be the last plague. Now, Moses told them something else too. He said that God had told him that all the Israelites should go to their Egyptian neighbors and ask for jewelry, ask for clothing. So the Egyptians were willing to give that to them because they wanted to be rid of the Israelites. So, can you imagine this? On the 10th day of the month, Dad brings home this little lamb. It's a year-old lamb, and it's a perfect lamb. And probably the kids think it's going to be a pet, right? Because Dad's bringing it home, and maybe they're trying to think up names for this lamb. But Dad tells them not to name the lamb because it's going to die on the 14th. And they'll be disappointed. Can you imagine this? when one of the kids sees his dad getting ready to kill the lamb on the 14th. And he says, "Dad, what are you doing with the lamb?" And his dad says, "I have to kill the lamb because that's what God told us to do." "But Dad, I thought it was going to be a pet." And his dad says, "I told you not to name it." "But Dad, why does God want you to kill the lamb?" "Well, God said that tonight He's going to go through the land of Egypt and go into every house and kill the firstborn." But Dad, I'm the firstborn. I'm the firstborn." And his dad said, "That's why we have to kill the lamb. Because the lamb will be a substitute for you. So that God won't enter our house." "Okay, Dad. But now what are you doing with the blood? What are you doing with the blood, Dad?" "God told us to put the blood over the door and down the sides of the door." But doesn't God know where we live? Doesn't He know that we live here? Yes, of course He does. But He wants us to trust Him, and He wants us to obey Him and do exactly what He's told us to do. So, Dad, I get that. But I'm wondering how this is all going to work out. Well, I'm wondering too, but we'll see. And so they put the blood over the door and down the sides. All the Israelites did it, but the Egyptians didn't. Pharaoh didn't. And that night at midnight, God came through the land of Egypt. And He went into every house of the Egyptians, into Pharaoh's house. And He killed Pharaoh's firstborn, the one who was supposed to be the next Pharaoh, the next king over Egypt. And there was a great cry that went up from the Egyptians. But in the houses of the Israelites, when God saw the blood over the door, He passed over that house, and He didn't let the destroyer go into those houses. And so the Israelites were safe. And then Pharaoh called for Moses, and he told him to get out. Take his people and get out. Take everything. And so Moses and the children of Israel were allowed to leave the land of Egypt and go into the wilderness with everything they had. And they also had asked their neighbors for jewelry and clothing, and their neighbors had given it to them. So they went out with wealth, with the wealth of the Egyptians. And they took all their livestock and everything, and they went out into the wilderness, and they were leaving the land of Egypt, leaving their slavery behind. They're escaping. But we'll have to wait till tomorrow to find out what happens next.